Myself, Wendy, Catherine, and Mike, and Tim are out quite frequently talking to customers and in various forums about environmental sustainability. And what we do is we say, you know, we don't necessarily just talk about Xerox and what we do. We try to take it up a level to what we call thought leadership. To say, you know, how do you think about sustainability? To help those that are earlier on the journey accelerate their progress by us sharing what we've learned since we've been on the journey for so long. So I'm going to share a little bit with you, just a very abbreviated version of, there are various permutations depending upon the audience, and when I say depending upon the audience and the time that we have allocated. So for example, if we have in the audience folks that are from government, academia, manufacturing, financial services, we'll put a few little choice slides in there that they can resonate with. Or if they're from various geographies, they're from Cleveland, we'll have something that's focused on Cleveland. Just to make it more personal to the audience. But this is the more general, and this is probably some stuff that even you guys haven't seen. So we call it Smarter Waste to Green. But this slide, which I absolutely love, says that sustainability has made it to the cover of virtually every major publication around the world, which means that it's now top on the agenda for CEOs, definitely C-level within corporations, within government, within academia. And it says that it's become very, very important to us all. So what is sustainability and why is it so important? I mean, sustainability is a really big word that means something a little bit different to each individual. So I like to sort of set the context with how we view sustainability. So if we think about the environmental challenges, that there are over 6 billion people that live on the planet today. And according to the United Nations Environmental Program, if all 6 billion people lived at the same standard of living that we enjoy in the US and Europe, in the developed world, we would need 3 planets. 3 planets to support the current population. And that doesn't even consider the projection for population growth, which is expected to grow to about 9.6 billion by 2050, and the impact on the resources. And if we think about the social aspect of this, it's estimated that over 2/3 of the world's population live well below the poverty limit on less than $2 US a day. Less than $2 US a day. Naturally aspiring to improve their standard of living. And what comes with that? More consumption, production, impact on resources. And then we think about businesses. And businesses like us who are saying, you know something, there's 2/3 of the world's population that's a relatively untapped market for my business. If I can figure out how to improve the standard of living of that 2/3 of the population, that's a really good opportunity for top-line growth for my business. So you begin to see that if businesses are successful, if we don't do it differently than we've done in the past, the planet can't support. So when we talk about sustainability, that's fundamentally what we're talking about, is that the Earth's ability to generate the resources that we need to survive, we can't if we're all over-consuming. So when we think about sustainability, it's the intersection of environment, society, and economic. And some call it the triple bottom line, some people call it people, planet, profits. But fundamentally, what it is saying the decisions that we make, we really need to think about what are the implications on the environment, on society, and the economy, and make sure that we're leveraging the intersection of those. And so along the way, we've recognized that doing good for the environment isn't just a nice feel-good thing. It is a fundamental for business. So Xerox has been on this journey for a very long time. And we've learned a lot in the process. But some really interesting facts are that Xerox invented double-sided printing in 1969. In 1969, that was a long time ago. We introduced the first product, paper product, with post-consumer recycled content in 1973. And then in the early 80s, we introduced products that automatically powered down, which was long before the Energy Star program was ever even conceived. And then we actually went on to work with the United States Environmental Protection Agency, partnering to help build the framework that we all have gotten to know as Energy Star, which has been very effective at driving energy efficiency in the office environment. And then we moved on to doing things like designing for remanufacturing cartridges and toner, and then introducing our own carbon footprint reduction goal in our Energy Challenge 2012 program, where we learned that through the power of participation, we can actually achieve more than we thought we could. In that particular instance, we, in 2005, announced that we were going to achieve 10% reduction over a 2002 base year by 2012. We got all kinds of people involved in the organization, and we actually achieved 18% by 2006, the end of 2006. So we said, oh my gosh, we can actually do more than we thought. We thought that the 10% goal was a really big stretch. So we upped that to 25%, and we've now exceeded the 25%, and we're in the process of reestablishing a baseline to 2010, and we'll be announcing new goals at the beginning of 2012. And then we did things like introducing a sustainability calculator, because one of our offerings is to help our customers right-size their print infrastructure, because we found that over time that they have too much print capacity, and that the devices that they've got in their organizations are underutilized. So by using shared multifunction technology, that they can actually reduce the cost of their business processes that are dependent on documents. And they can also reduce their environmental footprint. Well, our customers came back to us and said, well, help us measure that. I mean, that's really good information, and that will get the folks in our organization excited about how we're helping achieve our goals. And so we introduced a sustainability calculator to help our customers understand how their non-optimized print versus optimized, what the environmental benefits are of doing that. And then we introduced the Color Cube, which is our high-speed solid ink print devices, which has 9% less waste than the comparable laser printers. And then our EA Tone plant achieved zero waste to landfill, right, Danelle? And we launched our Earth Smart print driver for folks to use when they send print. So along this journey, we've learned a lot. And one of the things we've learned is that sustainability is a value continuum. It's really important to understand this, because in this world where everybody's concerned now about greenwashing, is that folks tend to want to jump and talk about the green stuff. And they forget the fact that it's got to be built on a very solid foundation of compliance and risk management within the organization. And then built on top of that, recognizing there's a broad set of stakeholders who are expecting you to perform in certain ways that are beyond regulatory requirements, and meeting those expectations. And then at the very tip, where can you drive value through sustainability value propositions? And so as we've worked on our efforts for sustainability, we've learned that there are 4 fundamental aspects that are important for any successful sustainability program. The first is, it's got to be quantitative, because even though it drives us all nuts, what gets measured gets done. If you have well-defined goals and metrics to help you understand how you're going to get to those goals, it provides the information for more people within the organization to actually know how they can contribute towards moving towards those goals, so get more involved. 2, it needs to be value chain focused to find more leverage points. Because you can do a lot within your own 4 walls, but it's important to understand that the decisions you make within your own 4 walls have a ripple effect all the way up through your supply chain, or perhaps down to your customers. So it's really important to understand the overall footprint, and I'll share with you how we see that with print in a minute. The third is, it has to be economically driven, because if you put the organization out of business by doing good for the environment, that's not sustainable either. There are so many opportunities to drive the dual benefit of reducing cost, reducing footprint, or enabling revenue, that it would be foolish to actually not have it economically driven. And then 4th, if you're just starting on your journey, or if you're trying to reinvigorate a stalled journey, it's always important to have quick paybacks, where you can clearly demonstrate that what's good for the environment is also good for the bottom line. Because again, it shows to the broader organization how important this is and the benefits you can drive, and it gets more people rallied around and excited, and it really gets the innovative juices flowing. So these are the 4 fundamental elements that we found are critical for any successful program. So I talked about value chain focus. So when we thought about at Xerox, what are the impacts that are created, environmental impacts, by delivering the products and services that we deliver to the marketplace? Well, we thought, we need machines, parts, paper. Well, to make those machines, we have to assemble them. Parts have to be fabricated. Chemicals go into the fabrication process. Materials have to be extracted from the earth. Paper, same thing. Paper has to be manufactured. Chemicals go into the manufacturing process. Trees have to be harvested for the fiber that goes into the paper. Packaging has to be made and used to move intermediate goods from one place to another. Transportation to move these goods throughout the world. And then energy that's used virtually throughout the entire system. And then we need to think about the feedback loops at end of life, when that cartridge is empty, when that machine you want to upgrade. How do we get that back into the system? So when we think about the footprint of printing, we think about this entire system and what are the impacts on air, water, solid waste, and toxic waste. And then what we did was we said, okay, well, we need to have goals around these. So we took this footprint and we evaluated the impacts on the environment, and we established 4 key planks and goals associated with them at Xerox. So the first one is climate protection and energy, with the goal of becoming carbon neutral. Now, we haven't established a date for carbon neutrality. We don't profess to know what is legitimate carbon neutrality. There's a lot of discussion in the external world about standards and making sure that it's credible. But what we do know is that our top priority is to help reduce energy consumption. So reduce demand, and then find ways to meet demand through renewable sources of energy. The second is preserving biodiversity in the world's forests by driving towards a sustainable paper cycle. And this comprehends not only helping reduce paper use through technologies such as efficient double-sided printing and our EarthPart Smart Print Driver to make sure you're only printing what you want to print, but also through making sure that the paper that's used has been sustainably sourced by working with our paper supply chain, and that the prints are inherently recyclable, because some print technologies are not as recyclable as our solid ink and our toner-based prints. The third area is preserving clean air and clean water with 2 goals. One is driving towards 0 persistent bioaccumulative and toxic materials. And I have a funny little story. The first time that I presented this to our CFO, which was then Larry Zimmerman, I had this abbreviated as 0 PBT. He turned pale and he said, "Patty, we don't want 0 profit before tax." So, oh no, sorry, Larry, I'll spell it out. But the other part is water neutral, Kevin. And the fourth plank is waste prevention and management, which has been the cornerstone of Xerox's focus on sustainability since the early 90s, when we established the goal to design waste-free products, to manufacture in waste-free facilities, to enable waste-free customer sites. Right, Mike and Janelle? Waste-free. And a really important aspect of this is to understand that the scope is the entire value chain. So not only within our own 4 walls, but driving up our supply chain and delivering the benefits to our customers. And so these goals comprehend that full spectrum. And our sustainability scorecard comprehends that full spectrum, and that's why it's designed that way. So we deliver sustainability through our paper, our toner, our technology, and our services. And in the longer version of this, we give examples of those. But for this particular one, I'm not going to give examples. But what I will give you is case study example after case study example that demonstrate it doesn't matter what market you're in, what industry, what vertical you're in, that you can capture the benefits regardless. So here's one for the financial services sector, where they've driven significant both environmental as well as financial benefits by doing a managed print service. And here's a manufacturing industry example, and a healthcare industry example, and a higher education example. Again, this is just to show that it's industry agnostic, that we can drive these dual benefits regardless of what industry we're in. And so when we think about acting sustainability, I put together my top 10 reasons. And this is a slide that you guys haven't seen, right? Mike, Wendy, Catherine? So the number one reason, because he's going to be here. The number one reason to act sustainably, eliminate visits from your friendly regulatory inspector. Or when they do come, they are so wowed, as they were recently, right, Catherine? That they say, wow, Xerox is really a highly credible organization. Number 9, reduce the number of lawyers on your staff. Now, we only have one, so he's got job security. We do have to have one. The number 8 reason, capture bottom line cost reduction. And we see that time and time again. Energy Challenge 2012, $18 million, right, Catherine, of benefits delivered with reduced energy consumption, reduced greenhouse gas emissions. The number 7 reason, improve business process efficiency. Because when you take inefficiency out of the process, you remove waste. Waste is impact on the environment. The number 6, avoid shareholder resolutions. Oh, wow, we have had those in the past, but you know something, we get them and we can answer them, and then they never actually go to proxy vote. 5, enhance your brand value. Think about that. Think about the value in somebody hearing the Xerox name and feeling really good about it. How do you put a dollar value on that? And that's also why we want to make sure that we're not greenwashing, that we've got credible marketing claims. The number 4 reason, attract and retain key talent. More and more students coming out of the top schools around the world are saying that it's important to them, the social environmental responsibility of the company that they go to work for. Now, when they start to get the offers and what they're going to be paid, I don't know what they're going to compromise pay. They say they will. The number 3 reason, grow revenue. Think about it. Opportunities to grow revenue with sustainable value propositions, because it's helped driving improvements for your customers. The number 2, drive innovation. New ways of doing things. Getting people thinking creatively outside the box. The number 1 reason for acting sustainably, can anybody guess?
You told us to.
It's because we have not inherited the earth from our forefathers. We're borrowing it from our children or Joe's grand and grandson. So with that, that's our sustainability thought leader discussion for today. And I'd like to open it up for questions since I have a few minutes. No question? Comment? How many? Oh, Laura. Always leave it to either you or Tori to ask questions. That's great. I love it.
More of a comment. We're seeing more and more RFPs come through asking these kinds of questions. I think we had 3 of them last week.
Yeah.
All asking, and do you do this? What are your plans?
And Elaine can tell you more about that. So can Doris and Susan and so not only are there more, and we make sure that the bid centers have got the information they need to try and answer stuff without having to ping us.
That's what we're working on, getting more information.
Yeah, yeah. But they ask for different information in different ways. And the other thing that we've learned, again, different organizations are at different maturities along this journey. And an example of that is customers saying, give me your carbon footprint for iGen. Carbon footprint, what do you really mean? And getting the field to understand that we need to talk to the customer and not just give them a number. And in fact, I was speaking on a panel with GE, and the person from GE said, if somebody asks us for the carbon footprint, we'll tell them no. We won't give it to them. We won't give it to them. And if they insist, we'll ask them what number they want, because it's meaningless. And it was interesting. So another interesting example is that when we probed one customer, what they wanted to know, what was the carbon dioxide emissions of iGen when it's running. You know, so that's not at all what I would think about with carbon footprint. So it does reinforce it's important to not just answer a question that seems at its face value to be a little bit off, but to assume that they're on their journey. And Tim can tell you this in spades too, because he's worked with, is it Sprint? Well, which company was it that you were working with that was, they were wanting footprints on everything, and they were fairly mature, but still didn't quite understand the issues.
There's quite a few. Vodafone
Vodafone is what I'm thinking about. So, but yeah, they're getting more complex, and because now they're starting to get more educated, they're also getting more educated and specific. And then we need to make sure we understand what they're going to use them for, because if they're going to compare, you know, a Xerox product to a face-off product, and they're wanting to use, you know, carbon footprint, you can't do that. And that's exactly why GE had said, you know, it doesn't make sense to do for what it is that you're trying to do. But yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of interest. Other comments? Did anybody learn anything new from this today? Yay, Karen, thanks. Kevin, you learned the 4 planks?
I did, definitely.
Okay, cool. I saw you taking notes. Yeah. I'm not going to ask Will. He's been here long enough that he should know the 4 planks. Now, the question is, did you learn the pyramid? I mean, the senior team's always saying, oh my gosh, Patty, if you don't know the pyramid and the 4 planks, Patty is just going to drive you nuts. And Jim Firestone loves the pyramid, by the way. We're going to be doing more and more with the pyramid. So. Okay, well, Joe, how do you like that?
Right on time.